We're looking at cams, LOCI cams on page 104, and some information has been given to you. But just before we get to this page, I want to give you an overall idea of what cams are all about and what it looks like in 3D. So you will find that there are two main components here. This here is a cam displacement graph. Right, it's a normal graph, linear graph that runs from 0 to 360, and there are 12 spaces here always, and every space between the degrees would be a 10 millimeter spacing, which is for this particular graph. There might be a different graph that gives you 7 millimeter spacing, or in another graph which will give you 8 millimeter spacings. Right, but it's very important that you must look at this graph. Later on, this graph will not be given, and you will have to draw this entire graph from information that will be supplied to you. And then once you have drawn this displacement graph, this information translates into rotary format, where it turns around a cam shaft and it lifts a cam follower from minimum to maximum for one revolution. And you can see that this is from 0 to 360 linear, and this has a rotary format from 0 to 360. There are 12 spaces, here should be 12 spaces. Those are the standard protocols of a cam drawing. Just to give you a little view what it looks like in 3D. And there the cam is basically rotating around its axis here. And this follower goes up and down for one revolution. That's basically what happens in the cam profile. And that allows for movement in a machine component. So it's very important that you are accurate in terms of getting your graph perfect, and then it allows for this movement in 3D to happen in reality. Back to our drawing on page 107, and you will find in the given information is that this graph now has been given to you. Right? It's there drawn. So you don't need to redraw this. You have to take this information and convert that into rotary motion, which will allow for the cam profile. Then you will also find that there's a follower given to you, the size of the follower and how far it's away from the center, and they speak about that circle being the cam shaft. So we're going to take this information and we're going to import it here, but it has to be very specific. Alright, very specific where you're going to import this information. So let's do that first. I'm going to take my bottom of my cam displacement diagram, and I'm going to draw a line that crosses right there with my center line. Then that center line there meets with the bottom, becomes that little pointy part of my wedge-ended follower, and that's a wedge-ended follower which I'm going to draw. And you will find that the wedge-ended follower has a 60-degree point. So from there I'm going to have a 60-degree point going both that way and in the opposite, and it has a thickness of 8 millimeters, which will allow me to go 4 millimeters on this side and 4 millimeters on this side to make it nice and even. I'm going to draw that like that up. I'm going to draw it like that up. And then, learners, if I must just move this slightly up a bit, perfect. Now I'm going to cut off 58 from my tip of my cam follower. That's 50. 58 is too short of 60, which is there. And then I'm going to complete my follower like that there. So I can darken this part here. My pencil, darken that. And that's going to score you a few marks, drawing that accurately. Alright, perfect. So now I'm going to drop down to get a center for my cam shaft, and that is 26. We call that 26 the minimum radius, right? So what I'm going to do is that there's a center line already, so I'm going to create another center line right here. I'm going to start on the outside, a nice center line there, going through the middle. So I've got the center line given. I'm going to create another center line, more or less the same length. And then around this point, I'm going to create a circle, which is my minimum radius. And from there to there, it's going to be 26. And my minimum radius is going to be 26. So I'm going to put my compass point perfectly there. And then I'm going to draw a circle, shaving that tip of my cam follower like that. That's my minimum radius. And then I have a cam shaft, which is that there, of 22 diameter. So 22 diameter means a radius of 11. And with that you can use a circle template, because you have a circle template of 22. I don't have a circle template right here at the moment, so I'm going to have to go with my compass, which I have to set at 11. It's tough to draw an 11 circle with a compass, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to draw like that. So it's going to come out 22. There's my 11. Then I'm going to hatch that, because that's my cam shaft. I want to hatch that. So I hatch it at 45 degrees like that. Perfect. Right, I've completed that section there, and all I need to do is just to put my arrow in, because my arrow goes in an anti-clockwise direction. Then, because I have 12 spaces here, I need to create this rotary motion into 12 spaces as well. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 already. So I'm going to do another 12. Another 8, sorry. Right, like that. The 60 and 30. Like that. And like that. What you can do as well is to bring this, like you've got that circle there for that minimum radius, you can bring this across like that there onto that center line, and that will become your maximum radius. Put your compass on the center line, open it up at the maximum radius there, and swing a circle like that there, perfect like that, so that your lines are actually touching all on the circle here, and where they don't, just extend it a little further so that it does. Alright, so here we go. There I'm going to extend mine like that there. Very importantly, if my arrow goes that direction, my numbering is going to go on the opposite. My degrees are going to go on the numbering of my degrees will go on in the opposite direction. So that being on top, that's 0 and 360, because it starts and finishes there. That now is going to be 30. Remember, this goes that direction, so opposites, 30, 60, that's going to be 90, that's going to be 120, 150 degrees, 180 degrees, 210 degrees, 240 degrees, 270 degrees, 300 degrees, and 330 degrees, and then 360. Okay, so now you've set it up. Now you're going to create the points. So that point 0 there is, if you follow it, is already on the point 0 line there. Right, there we go. It's already on the point 0 line. So I'm going to go to my next line. It cuts through my 30 degree line over there. So I'm going to take my T-square, bring it across onto my main center line there. Watch carefully. And then I'm going to swing it to my 30 degrees. So I'm going to put my compass here, and there I'm going to swing it until it crosses here. Right? There. Then I'm going to go to my next one, which is my 60. It crosses there with my 60, so I'm going to take that onto my center line here, and I'm going to extend it. So it's good to draw this line because you actually get marks for this. These lines that are arced. Sorry, it's not the right point. That's the right point over there. My apologies. That's the 90 line. That's the 60. So it comes from the 60. The 90 is actually right at the end here. So you're going to have that 90 right there. Okay, so you must clearly mark your points. There's my starter point. There's a point. There's a point. There's that point there. And then I find there's 120 also on the outside, which is there. And then there's 150 also on the outside, which is that point over there, and you follow it. Where's 150? It's also on the outside. Right. Then it drops. So now you're going to take it over like that, there, and project it to the 150 line. So you take it over to the 150 line. Right. Here's my one. Sorry, where are we now? 180. To my 180 line. That's it. And then I go to my 210 is going to be where that crosses there. And now, once I've reached my 180, I can actually take it this way. So that's my 180 point. Sorry, not my 180 point, my 210 point there. And I take it and I arc it this way. I plot my point there. Now, my 240 is going to be on that point there, and I project my 240 across like that. Here's my 240. So I can carry on with my 270 on there. 270 is going to be right here. It's my 270 point. Here's my 270 point that I mark here. Please mark your points very clearly. And then you are going to go to your 300. That's my 300 point there, and I'm going to project it to my 300 point, which is there. And then I'm going to do my last point, which is my 330 point, because I have the starter point already. 330 point is here, and I'm just going to project it to my 3. So now I have all my points, and I want to highlight them where they are. Because not that one, this one over here, that one there, that one. And you can actually track it clearly from the linear position where they are. And then freehand, start here and draw a line through all the points. Freehand, go over it, freehand, down, like that there. And once you have done that faintly, you can go over it dark, very dark, nice and curved. This is the only freehand part that you are going to draw. It does not entail drawing equipment. And there you have your cam displacement graph talking to your cam profile, and that motion is going to be created in a rotary format like that there. Right, that's your cam drawing on 107.